My fellow Americans. That's a throwback right there. So I've been on a few channels here lately, and in fact I completely unsubscribed because it was all doom and gloom. I used to watch Tim Pool a lot, and it seemed that he is just caught up in doom and gloom. I can't do it anymore. We need wins, guys. The people on the right, the conservatives, we got a lot of bad going on. We need to amplify the good. We need to amplify the wins. So on Dan Bongino last week, he got stuck on this Wuhan lab issue. I gotta be careful here. And I posted on there, Dan, please, 3 days in a row of doom and gloom. We need hope. We got in order to continue the fight, we need hope. And doom and gloom every day for an hour doesn't give us the hope. So please start concentrating on the wins. And I got some feedback from people who weren't happy with me criticizing Dan Bongino. You don't like it, you can do better. Well, I can't do better. I don't have the budget he has. I don't have the reach he has, but I do talk. I do what I can. I do my part. I work at the polls. I'm a poll worker to make sure there's no shenanigans going on. I am running for local office, and I have a couple of channels where I try and push the conservative message and debunk the liberal hive mind that goes on. So during all this, I commented on the two women in Atlanta, the mother-daughter combo who were caught in the news. One of them was pulling the suitcases of ballots out from underneath the table. Now, let me go ahead and tell you, as a poll worker, those are not suitcases. Those are regular old, everyday, run-of-the-mill ballot boxes. That's what we keep the ballots in. Nothing nefarious about that. So don't confuse those for suitcases. They're not suitcases. They're actual boxes. But they were running the same ballots through the machine 3 times. They caught that on. They're also, the worst part was when they said they were closing for the night and they sent everybody out and then they continued to count. Well, those two women were in the spotlight of the thing we can't say on YouTube, the questionable tactics. What was the article? The fortification that the left did in the election. Their fortification. I think that's allowed because they're claiming it. They're bragging about it. So I commented about that, and someone, Cindy M, I don't know who she is, but she commented back and said, they are being indicted as we speak. Now, I made this comment last week. She responded Monday. I'm like, heck yeah, this needs to be brought out. We've got to let the entire world see what's going to happen with this couple and their story. So I don't know how much of this you guys recall. I'm going to give you a link to check in on the description box. That does a real good story of breaking down what happened, and I'm going to be using that link. I'll be looking at my monitor over here. I'm going to be using that link to describe a lot of what happened. There was, the mom made a post on Facebook. Now, I saw the post when it came out, and I was really skeptical of it. I don't know if it's real. I don't think it's real, but you never know. And it's straight up bragging about doing things that she shouldn't be doing as a trusted sworn poll worker. That's something as a poll worker you have to raise your right hand and swear that you're going to XYZ. Now, me being a former military person who fought in a war, I've raised that right hand to defend the Constitution. Me being a former police officer, I've raised a hand to defend the rights of American people, or of people in general. They don't have to be American. And as a poll worker, raised my right hand, swore. So they're violating that oath when they do what they're alleging to have done and doing what they're bragging about doing, especially the mother. So the two people we're talking about here, there's a couple of different names going around, but I'm going to go with Ruby Freeman and Shay Freeman. That's the mother and daughter. And this occurred in the State Farm Arena in Fulton County, where there was a water leak that made them stop counting, that ended up being a leaky toilet the day before that had nothing to do with their counting ballots. It was just an excuse. So on this website, which is uncoverdc.com. This is a June 11th article, and I suggest, oh God, y'all need to read this. Because what happens is they got these two sitting next to each other during the polling thing, the whole polling process, and they hired a gentleman who is an expert in audio transcriptions. So lip reading, that kind of stuff, and using audio analysis and filters that isolate speech artifacts. There's some conversations going on that make you go, whoa. Now, what Cindy M told me was that they had been indicted. Oh, praise Jesus, they've been indicted. Well, I haven't found an indictment. What I found is a subpoena. They've been subpoenaed by the Fulton County Board of, wait a minute. No, they've been subpoenaed by Caroline Jeffords and Robin Soder. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that last name right, Robin. And they're suing in the Superior Court of Fulton County Board of Registrars, Registration and Elections, and Fulton County Clerk of Superior Courts and Magistrate Courts. And this will be I'll include this. I might even do screenshots as I talk so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. In fact, I probably will do screenshot on this right here. Shift 3, boom. All right, that's a screenshot. So here's some things that they were saying. There was let's go back to the suitcase underneath the tables. They weren't suitcases. All right, they were legitimate ballot boxes. Now, I'm not saying the ballots were legitimate, but I'm saying the boxes were. Let's just read this and look at it, and you can draw your own conclusions about what's going on, what's not going on. But according to this article, the Fulton County Board of Registrations Elections hired Georgia's top criminal defense attorneys and filed paperwork to halt an audit that has been ordered by a judge, and that failed. So here's some of the conversations that's going on with the mother and daughter that I want to point out. There's another guy there who's an election official named Ralph Jones Sr. and his son Ralph Jones Jr. are working in this campaign. Let me make sure Jr. is working in the campaign. They have been implicated in conflict of interest issues that started 3 years ago concerning the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms' campaign, which there's some legal action had been going on with that. Now, Ralph Jones Sr. is a top elections official in the county's election office, and his son, Ralph Jones Jr., who describes himself on social media accounts as communications director for the Democratic U.S. senatorial candidate Raphael Warnock. It should be known here that Raphael Warnock is a blatant racist, and all you have to do is go to his speeches to see that. We have to repent against our whiteness. I guess that was a precursor to what was coming, because it's a lot more acceptable than when he first came out with it, but straight up racist, as is a lot of this CTR, cash transaction report, CRT theory that's going on right now is blatant racist against white people, namely white men. So those are the two. Ralph Sr. is involved in this conversation, and Ruby and the other, Ruby and Shay are having a conversation, and Senior's there. So Ralph Jones approaches the table where Ruby and Shay are sitting, and at that point the conversations begin to look even more suspicious, in that Jones is seen looking around as he is talking with a pair. Ruby points in the directions of the poll worker, telling Jones that he is crazy as shit about the whole thing. She claims it in to say, crazy about what I did. Ralph tells Ruby and Shay, there's nothing we can do. We have to stay here all night. Ruby says, 30,000? Shay asks what she is saying, and Ruby responds to both her and Jones, 30,000 ballots is the official ellipses. At that point, Shay states the following: I'm going to vote. It's time to consider taking out the boxes and doing our thing. That is what you want, speaking to Jones. Jones says, okay, I'm sure you see things you're not going to mistake, referring to the poll watchers and cameras per the subtitles. Shay says 1,000 to 2,000. Do you copy? And Jones responds, I hope that you can do something simple about it come sometime Friday. Jones, we took them up already, Washington and the Hill. Problem is, he continues, we ask you to do something about it. Joan continues talking to both women. You make up an announcement here, and you make a movement toward tomorrow about it. After it, you do something about it. Take the boxes and get me some results. You are the supervisor, part of our county. Offer excuses, make an announcement. We are paying $100 an hour. Offer excuses. A man comes over and says loudly to the three of them, so privately, you want to. Jones straightens up and turns to him, listen carefully. You can be heard. Jones tells the same man, after, we are staying after, to which the unidentified man says, okay. As Jones walks away, Ruby says, well, they were idiots. Drives me crazy. This included. I really mean it. Shay says, stay out of it as she looks out into the arena. We have an entire evening to wipe this over and over. Sethman can unlock the machine. The problem is we have just 3 machines. It's impossible to watch this flip machine. I thought we just get another one. I'll hop on the machine. We need 3,000 people to stop it at this point, including the count crew upstairs. Ruby to Shay. All right, do you still think it's going to be impossible? Do you still think it's going to be possible? Shay responds, no confidence. Ruby responds with be positive. All right, so then Byrne also shared a Facebook post that Ruby allegedly wrote, and that's the one I was talking about. It's this right, woo. It's what I have highlighted here. I know you can't read it like that, so I will zoom it up. But it's just nefarious. You guys, please continue to read this article. I kind of jumped in the middle of the conversation. Start from the beginning. They have been subpoenaed for this civil lawsuit. Should be a criminal investigation, and maybe a criminal investigation, but this should be a civil lawsuit that leads to criminal charges against all of them. All of them that were involved in this. You have the proof. I'm in Georgia. I'm going to do what I can to make sure this gets, I guess we got to look at Rafflesberger, the Secretary of State, to prosecute this. I don't trust him. What? The Attorney General of the state of Georgia? I guess I got to hit them both, but this needs to be completely blown up. We need sunlight all over it to disinfect this. Let's look into this. Listen, this is when I was a detective. I had a bunch of these on the desk because this is a kind of a detective, Sherlock Holmes prop. But let's look into this. Let's put it under a microscope. Let's put it under an electron microscope. Let's find out what's going on. I don't care what side you're on. If you're on the left and you're being accused, you should say, bring it. We didn't do anything wrong. Bring it. Let's look into this. I'll look with you. If you're on the right, you could be saying, you did something wrong. Let's look into it. The bottom line is no one should be afraid of or stopping or hindering an investigation of any type, because that's how you prove you were right. Or you prove the other side was wrong, depending on which side of it you stand. So let's real quickly look into the deposition and what they've been demanding. For Wandrea, who knows, Shay Moss, she must have a thumb drive. That thumb drive that got passed off that we saw, containing separately an electronic bit-by-bit image of all communications for the time period of January 1st, 2020 through January 31st of 2020, made and received by Wandrea Shay Moss relating to the November 3rd, 2020 general thing contained on Moss's cell phones, emails, tablets, desktop computer or drive, laptops, computers, Snapchat account, WhatsApp account, Facebook account, and Instagram account, YouTube postings or account, or other social media communications in any and all other electronic devices and electronic accounts under the custodial and control of Miss Moss at any time. I guarantee you she won't bring all of this, and then nothing happens, because this is a civil action, and then she's held in contempt because they'll have to prove that she didn't bring her Snapchat account, and then the judge will say, well, you're in contempt, but you're in civil contempt. You should be criminally charged when you're in contempt. She's not going to cooperate. Don't expect it. Bring all electronic devices, cell phones, tablets, thumb drives, laptops. So they're looking into electronic communications. I'm wondering how good they're going to be at doing forensic audits on any type of audit or adulteration of the information that's going to be on these devices. So now this, according to the Gateway Pundit, yesterday, this article is dated June 7th. Yesterday we reported that Shay Moss was subpoenaed in Georgia for her activities in the 2020 thing that involved the people in our, can I say election? Can I even say the word election? They're involved in their activities in the election. Now Ruby has been subpoenaed. So within 3 days, well, within a week, they've both been subpoenaed. And hopefully this will be the dreaded discovery that James O'Keefe from Project Veritas talks about. Discovery is it's arduous. It's no fun. I've been through quite a few as a detective and a police officer. Just wrap this up for you. We have a mother-daughter combo, Ruby and Shay, who were central in nefarious activities during the 2020 election and have done some very questionable things. They have been subpoenaed in Fulton County to provide any electronic information. I don't know if they're actually going to have to testify in this deposition, if they're going to be able to ask some questions. The two women are not very smart at all. They will not be able to BS their way through a skilled lawyer. They will fall apart, and hopefully they will end up turning state's evidence in order to keep their butts out of jail or out of prison, because it's a federal crime, and they will do federal time, which is door to door, meaning you don't get time off for good behavior. And this will scare them enough to where they'll probably throw this Ralph guy under the bus, the senior guy under the bus, because from what I read, it looks like he's the one who's telling them what to do, or he's the one ultimately in charge. They're looking for electronic equipment. They're also looking for a thumb drive that was handed off. I'm asking you to look at the first article where they used the audio expert to decipher what was being said. It's amazing. There is no honest conversation that could be happening with what you're reading. There's no just very innocent, oh, do you want McDonald's or do you want barbecue? No, that's not what's being talked about. It's quite obvious that's not what's being talked about. So look at it, and thanks for listening. This went on longer than I expected. I'm glad it's not an indictment, because if it was an indictment, it would have gone on even longer. And I was telling everybody on my post that it was going to be a short video. So guys, check out these websites and share this. Let's not let them get away with it, just like Andrew Cuomo's getting away with what he did. That whole narrative has been dropped. Have you noticed? When's the last time you heard anything about Andrew Cuomo? When's the last time you heard anything about gas going up $1 a gallon? And check out our dumbass president at the G summit that they had when Boris is, I'm glad to have he, I'm glad to have she, I'm glad to have who, whatever. I'm glad to have the president of South Africa here. And then he does all his introductions. And then our dumbass president goes, and don't forget Juanita McGillicuddy from South Africa. And Boris is over there, Boris Johnson's over there. Yes, we can't forget Juanita, which I just said that she's here. I just acknowledged her. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put this on. I'm going to put this clip at the end of this video because it's embarrassing what we have for a president. This man is trying so hard to fit in at this summit, trying so hard to It's embarrassing, guys. It's just embarrassing. Watch. Hey y'all, sorry for referring to Biden as the president, the dumbass president. That was wrong. I should not refer to him as the dumbass president. He is the dumbass former vice president. Right? Because that's what we call him, former vice president. He's obviously not the president, just as Kamala Harris is not the vice president. They're puppets, and they aren't doing anything but reading scripts. I guess actors, but he's not the president. He's a former vice president. Sorry, I'll try not to let it happen again.
And just say how pleased I am to welcome those who have just joined us. Bringing some pretty spectacular weather with them, Prime Minister Modi, President Ramaphosa, President Moon, in just a minute.
And the President of South Africa.
And the President of South Africa, as I said earlier.
Oh, you did?
I certainly did.
Will you get a mention?
I'm sorry, I'm going to get in trouble with staff if I don't do this the right way. Jennifer Jacob, Bloomberg.
The European allies. Can I ask a question about the European allies?
I'm going to get in trouble with my staff. Yeah, go ahead, but I pretend that you didn't answer you.
You've kept in place some Trump-era steel and aluminum sanctions. And I wanted to ask you, when you're having these conversations with European allies who are very concerned about these sanctions, how do you justify that? And what are your plans?
120 days. Give me a break. Need time. COVID is, I know you all know, but a lot of people may not know what COVID is.
In just a minute.
And the President of South Africa.
And the President of South Africa, as I said earlier.
Oh, you did?
I certainly did.
Will you get a mention twice?
I'll go over that again. Let me tell you, we're delighted. Mr. President, I'm glad to say we're joined by Prime Minister Modi.
American leadership, folks. Here's Joe Biden confusing Syria with Libya 3 times in a row.
For example, in Libya, we should be opening up the passes to be able to go through. And for example, the rebuilding of Syria, of Libya, they're there. That where we can save the lives of people in, for example, in Libya. 120 days. Give me a break. Need time. I'm sorry, I'm going to get in trouble with staff if I don't do this the right way. Jennifer Jacob, Bloomberg. By harassing the full potential of those who are harassing, we're going to have to try to change things. That's the whole idea. Which is that COVID is, I know you all know, but a lot of people may not know what COVID is.